You're not addicted to scrolling. You're not a people pleaser. You're not controlling. You're not introspective and can't handle social situations. You're just constantly trying to regulate your nervous system. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to regulate your nervous system. And I'm going to give you information that's going to blow your mind and completely change your life. You're going to understand why the wealth you're trying to create isn't coming in. You're going to get a deeper understanding of why you feel like you need to be in control all the time and why you people please, why you're so easily distracted by your phone and social media, why you can't be alone with your own thoughts, and why you feel completely paralyzed, unable to take action and move your life forward. But before we move forward, you have to understand that all these feelings, these specific things, they are not flaws. They are behaviors that you've unconsciously adopted because your nervous system is stuck in the survival mode. And I know you've just heard what I said and you're like, okay, I've heard this information before. What does it mean? But you've got to realize how important this is, because when you see just how important this really truly is and how much of a big role it plays, you will then understand what path you need to go down. So you can call in your wealth, so you can attract the person who can actually love you, so you can actually start setting strong boundaries without abandoning yourself. And don't worry, I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do in order to regulate your nervous system to be able to get there. So let's get started. You are your nervous system. The decisions you make, how you act, who you are, what you attract, your perspective of reality is all determined by the state of your nervous system. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you're instantly put on a stage in front of 1,000 people getting ready to give a talk. Now, it's not uncommon at this stage, you will feel anxious. The situation in that moment will make you feel a certain way. That anxiety, that fear, no matter what the feeling is, it's because of your nervous system. You might panic, you might even choke on your words, or present in a terrible way. Remember, no matter how you feel, it's because of the state of your nervous system. That doesn't mean your feelings don't matter. They are communication and they're very valid. But you have to understand it is because of the state of your nervous system. Now, I'm sure you've seen other people on stage and they seem very confident and really good at what they do. They even look like they're having fun with it. It's because their nervous system is in a completely different state. They don't feel the same way that you would if you were on stage. But that doesn't mean you're always going to be like that. Let's say you're doing the work, healing yourself, as well as taking that brave, aligned action. Eventually, you'll be able to present yourself in a very confident way on stage as well. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is to show you that when you eventually become the version of yourself that's confident on stage, it's because your nervous system isn't in the same state it was when you were originally on there and you were anxious and you were feeling the fear. That's what I mean by you are your nervous system. That's how big of a role it plays in your life, because there is a possibility that the first time you would have gone on stage, if your nervous system was different in that moment, you'd be a lot more confident at the beginning. And look, that's a stretch, and I'm not saying that you should be there. But there are so many examples of people that just land in these situations and they're confident and comfortable being where they are. They can handle it because their nervous system isn't firing off. That's why in terms of manifestation, when you no longer need that thing that you're trying to manifest, is when it comes in, because you've become the version of yourself that has it. Your nervous system is aligned with that thing. And because you are your nervous system, you are aligned. You don't manifest what you want, you manifest who you are. The trick to manifesting everything is through your nervous system. So I'm sure you've heard it many times before that the reason you're not able to manifest and create the reality that you want is because you're stuck in survival mode. This is what's keeping it from you. I'm going to explain to you what that means. And I'm also going to tell you how to regulate your nervous system. Let's say that you're trying to manifest wealth, and that requires aligned decisions, because the decisions you make is what is going to dictate your success. You're here to be on your path, no one else's, which means that your aligned decisions won't look the same as everyone else's. Now, in order for you to understand your aligned decisions, you need to be able to connect with your intuition. And unless you do, you're going to be going towards fear-based decisions all the time. You have to learn how to connect to your intuition. And the way you do that is through regulating your nervous system. And when you make a fear-based decision to complete whatever the decision is, it will be done with the energy of fear, and it can be so subtle. For example, if I go, all right, I need to make a video, I've not made one today, so what should I make a video about? What do I talk about? Well, everyone's talking about forgiveness right now. That's doing really well, and I should really talk about that. Even though I actually feel like and I want to talk about surrender, and that's what my intuition is actually telling me to talk about. The concept of surrendering. But because I'm chasing the trend, because I'm chasing success, because I'm chasing wealth, I'm surviving. That's survival mode. The decision of what kind of video to make is led by your survival state. And what you create will have that survival state energy behind it. And reality is a mirror of you. And if the decisions you're making are coming from a place of surviving, reality will mirror that back to you. You surviving, which means every month, you're surviving. So you're only working to survive. You're capped at the level that you are, no matter what it is, because you're surviving. Because right now, that's who you are. Because your nervous system is stuck in survival mode. So the way to get what you want is all to do with your nervous system, because that's who you are. Once you get your nervous system out of survival mode, regardless of your external situations, and start living from that place, then your external reality will also reflect back to you that you are no longer surviving, because you are your nervous system. And when your nervous system changes, you change, regardless of any other circumstances. So let's get into how to regulate your nervous system. First, you need to understand why you are in survival mode. And that reason is trauma. You've experienced trauma from your life. Now, trauma is not what most people think it is. They think it's like this big event that's like a car crash or a death in the family or sexual abuse. And it's not. Trauma happens so much more than you would think it does. Trauma happens when you're ignored as a child, when you're scolded, when you're told off, when you've been rejected. And it's not even necessarily the intention of the other person. It's what you perceive that is happening in that moment. This is why most people in the world are actually stuck in survival mode, because they don't understand what trauma is. Collectively, as humans, we do not understand what trauma is. Not yet. But when you do, you can learn what to do in order to resolve the unresolved trauma you have. That's why your nervous system is stuck in survival mode, because of your unresolved trauma. When you're feeling anxious, fearful, angry, or many other feelings, it's because your trauma is coming to the surface. It's coming up. And listen, you are unaware of 95% of your inner world. That's a lot of trauma that you're not even aware of. You don't even know what you need to become aware of. Now, there are two states your nervous system is in. The fear, the anger, the shame, the grief, the guilt, the despair is what's keeping your nervous system in the survival state, which we call the sympathetic. The reason you feel scared, anxious, you abandon your own needs and boundaries, you procrastinate, feel like an imposter, find it unsafe when you lose control, doom scroll on social media, comfort eat, any addiction, you can't sit down, you grind your teeth, you pick your skin or you bite your nails, hold your pee in for a lot longer than you should, don't believe in yourself, and a host of many other behaviors and beliefs that you have are all because you're stuck in the sympathetic survival state. Our goal of regulating your nervous system is to take you back into the parasympathetic. This is the rest and digest. This is your calm. It's the peace you're looking for. That feeling that you desire, that everything is okay. The bliss you're searching for is that. So just to quickly understand a little bit more about the survival state and what behaviors come with that, I'm going to run through a few examples. Now you've got your fight, your flight, freeze, and fawn. Your fight is like micromanaging your team at work or getting into frequent arguments with a loved one. In that moment, your body is flooded with adrenaline and cortisol. And the reason you feel a constant need to control situations is because your nervous system has learned that it's the only way to stay safe. Or you might be pushing yourself and others, constantly working and driving towards success until you're burnt out. You feel overwhelmed, needing to be right and prove your worth to everyone around you. Or you might be stuck in flight, where you might find yourself compulsively scrolling on your phone to avoid sitting in silence with your thoughts. Your nervous system is actually in a high alert state, and it's using any distraction to escape from the underlying pain and emotion that you have. Or it might be compulsive shopping or substance use. Anything to keep yourself away and escape the emotional pain that you don't know what to do with. Or you might be in freeze. You might feel completely paralyzed and unable to start tasks. This is where procrastination comes in. So you spend hours binge watching TV or watching that YouTube video that just popped up in the corner of the screen. Your body's in a state of shutdown. This is to conserve energy because the nervous system perceives an overwhelming threat. You feel emotionally numb and detached from your life, as if you were watching it from a distance, having a hard time feeling or identifying your emotions at all. You're finding yourself zoning out for long periods of time. Or you could even be stuck in fawn, constantly saying yes when you actually want to say no, or finding yourself apologizing for things that aren't even your fault. This is a learned social survival response. Your nervous system has learned that being agreeable is actually the best way to maintain connection and avoid conflict, because conflict is far too scary. This is why you also take on the feelings and emotions of others, and you feel responsible for making everyone happy. This behavior is a deep-seated fear of losing connection. So you try to manage the emotions of others to feel safe. The reason you're trying to achieve so much outside of you is because you think that that's the thing that's actually going to get you there. Now, regulating requires awareness in the moment you are in survival, and whatever tool or technique that you're using to get yourself here. How do we do this? There are techniques you can use, but I'm going to show you the end goal of what you're going to do. The reason that we are in survival mode is because of trauma. The trauma that keeps you in survival mode has a story and a belief at the core of it. Your goal is to become aware of the story, especially the belief, in order to resolve it. So the first thing you need to do is to become aware of the fear-based patterns that you are in the moment you're in them. And trust me, you're in them a lot. You just haven't become aware of them yet. Your goal is to become conscious of what you are unconscious of. Let's go back to the example I used earlier of which video to make. One of the most powerful ways that I can become aware of this pattern is by journaling. Your goal is to use prompts to understand the meaning, which is the core belief you're looking for, and why you have that behavior. Now, I actually have prompts that you can use right now in my free survival state behavior PDF. You can download it and do this now. Now in that PDF, I actually have a list of other behaviors, additionally from the ones we've been through in this video, where you're going to identify what survival state behavior that you're trapped in. It's going to give you a list of all of the behaviors that you're trapped in and how to get out of them. But don't go yet, because we're still talking about how to regulate your nervous system. And at the end of this video, go to the description section and you can find the download link there. So by identifying the pattern that you're in at that moment, you're in the position to interrupt it. That's why we call it a pattern interrupt, which is necessary. But listen, because you are interrupting a survival pattern, there is going to be resistance. So you're going to find yourself trying to continue do what it is that you were trying to do, whatever that pattern is, whether it's to control the situation or not say anything because you're afraid of conflict and you don't really know how to set boundaries, or you're in the process of doing the same thing over and over again, even though it hasn't worked for you. In that moment, you need to stop and breathe. Now you can do box breathing, which is 4 seconds in, hold for 4 seconds, 4 seconds out. Or you can just start taking deeper breaths. The goal is to slow it down. And as you're slowing it down, you also need to start self-soothing. So that can look like speaking to yourself. You can even put your hand on your heart in this moment. You could say something like, "You're safe. It's okay. You're okay. No matter what happens, I'm here for you." And keep repeating that. Now, your mind will continuously try and take you back to the perceived threat or danger, which is why you're in survival. You can appreciate that if you're trying to tell someone to stop surviving when they've been continuously surviving, there's going to be resistance, and that's normal. So you have to give yourself enough time to stop and keep bringing yourself back to the self-soothing. This is a very, very powerful way of interrupting survival mode. And look, you're going to do this way more than you think you will. And that is very, very normal and okay. So we know that trauma is what has caused your nervous system to be stuck in survival mode. And that trauma has a story and a belief at the core of it. Now, there are many different levels of experiences of trauma that you've had. Some of your trauma will be resolved by just the awareness of them. Others will be resolved by just feeling what you've been suppressing. These are all ways of regulating your nervous system. But the main ones I mean the deep rooted ones, the ones at the core that hold your beliefs regarding what the world is like, what the financial system is like, what reality is like, what people are like, if it's easy to make money, if it's easy to find love, if you're worthy enough to even have the wealth or the love that you want. Your entire perspective of reality requires more work. You have many parts of yourself trapped in time in the stories you've experienced. These are carrying the limiting beliefs that is shaping your reality. And because they're trapped in time, they are the parts of you that are continuously telling your nervous system about the perceived threats that exist within your being. The perceived threats that your nervous system holds, even though in your external world it doesn't seem to be the case, is because of the unresolved trauma that you're still holding onto unconsciously in your inner world. You see, your mind can't tell the difference between your inner world and your outer world. It treats both of them the same. And because you have aspects of yourself that are trapped in time because of your trauma, your nervous system is continuously being told that there are threats in so many different ways, for so many different reasons. And these threats get triggered by everything you perceive. So if someone doesn't text you back in time, you might perceive that as you being rejected, even if it was their intention or not, which is a threat. Because if you're rejected, that's a threat to your survival as the social creature that you are. It's how you work biologically. Your perspective of reality is keeping you in survival mode. Your perspective is what has been created because of the trauma you've experienced. So in order to get out of survival, you need to show your nervous system that that threat no longer exists. And you do that through healing your trauma, the deep healing, full integration. This looks like inner child work, parts work, all forms of shadow work. And that's why one of the first things that I actually created after learning this was my inner awareness framework. Because once you understand the whole path of actually wanting to create the reality that you want to experience, you see that it always brings you back to integration and your nervous system. And deep integration is something you need to learn. Like, you have to learn this in order to create the reality that you want. Now, if you want to take that further, I've actually put a link to my inner awareness framework in the description below again. This is for the people that are ready to start that deep inner work. To regulate your nervous system is not to do one thing. But if I had to define it as one goal, it would be to use all the tools you have to heal your trauma so that you can change your perspective of reality as well as yourself to come out of survival mode and live in alignment with your true, authentic self. That's why the goal is always to be your authentic self. Because when you live in alignment with a regulated nervous system, everything becomes aligned for you. Don't forget the links in the description that you can use now. I hope you got as much value as you could from this video. Let me know what other videos you guys actually want me to make, what you're really interested in. Just comment below and I will make them. See you next time.